Our chair now recognizes the gentleman for Virginia, Mr. McGuire.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to start by also offering my condolences and prayers to the 4 soldiers lost in Lithuania. That would be Staff Sergeant Dunes, Staff Sergeant Franco, PFC Taitano, and Sergeant Knutson. And I'd also like to say thank you to our witnesses for being here today. We really appreciate it. You know, and I very much want to thank and appreciate the Trump administration, President Trump, Secretary Hegseth, and Ms. Thompson. You're doing a wonderful job today. You know, your efforts to keep our American people safe at home and abroad, we very much appreciate what you're doing. And everyone knows we wouldn't have a country without our military. So General Cavalli, I couldn't say it better than my Navy brother, Luttrell, is we really appreciate your service. But your efforts, Ms. Thompson, are working. Morale is up. I've been to the southern border. I've visited military bases. Recruitment is up. We are getting these divisive ideologies. You know, in the military, and as a veteran, if somebody saved your life on the battlefield, you wouldn't care if they were pink or blue, male or female, Democrat, Republican, Independent. We're all on the same team. And for Special Operations Forces, we're always behind enemy lines, we're always outnumbered, and we always win. Because if we don't win, we don't come home. And so these divisive ideologies that have plagued our military, I am so glad that we're focusing more on the job, and that is making our military lethal again. I very much agree with President Trump and the chairman, and that is it is time to end hostilities in Europe with Ukraine and Russia. I very much agree with the chairman as well. I'd like to see all members of NATO do 5%. I know that's a big ask, but you know, we have to have peace through strength. And I'm going to start with Ms. Thompson and General Cavalli. I have a few questions. I'd like to get your yes or no response. Since President Trump assumed office in January of this year, have our European allies and partners increased their defense spending or shown actionable plans to do so?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. General Cavalli, can you please provide some examples of how they've done that?
Spain today announced that they're going up to 2.3% of GDP. That's a big lift in Spain, where defense spending was not very favored for a long time, and where there was, for a very long time, a very weak coalition government. That's just today's example, Congressman. We could go on and on. The Denmark has recently announced plans to go to 3.2% of GDP. And to spend 2 additional billion euros on Arctic security. Those are just 2 examples in the past couple of days, weeks.
Thank you. Would the strides these allies are making be sufficient enough to meet the implementation requirements of their regional plans under NATO?
Not yet. They will be. So there's a long process called the NATO defense planning process, Congressman. That's where we take the force structure requirement of the plans and assign it out to nations to build for. That's been concluded. All nations have accepted all their capabilities targets. Now it's time to build, and this is where we come to the question of industrial capacity.
Certainly, and I remember you guys mentioned that capacity, we've got to have something to buy. And that's something that this committee and our chairman fully supports, and we've had many discussions on that. Let's see, General Cavalli, we've already touched on this, but if you could clarify, some of our allies on NATO's eastern flank have demonstrated their commitment to President Trump's call to increase their GDP spending on defense and improve capabilities, including Poland and the Baltic states. Poland itself has increased its interest in American defense products. Do you believe the current FMS system in the Pentagon operates efficiently enough to ensure that U.S. defense equipment reaches foreign buyers on time?
No, sir. We have a lot of work to do in that regard.
Thanks. General Cavalli, one last thing. Last week, Defense News published an article highlighting President Putin's announcement of the new Perm nuclear submarine of the Yasin M class. The article also highlighted some of the issues being faced by the Russian industrial base, not unlike our own. Joe Cavalli, can you provide a brief overview of the current state of the Russian undersea capability in your area of responsibility?
Could I do that in closed session, please?
Sure.
Thanks.
And then, if you could, just maybe closed session as well, but how does the United States compare to Russia in terms of its undersea capabilities?
I am very confident in the United States Navy, sir, but we can go into details in closed session.
I appreciate your testimony today, and I yield back.